What if the person you trusted most was secretly plotting your death? Vishala Ganika had it all: a loving husband, a beautiful daughter, a lavish apartment, and a life between Dubai and India that seemed straight out of a dream. But sometimes dreams hide the darkest nightmares. In July 2021, that dream was shattered forever when Vishala's lifeless body was discovered on the cold floor of her apartment in Udupi, Karnataka. No sign of forced entry, no screams, no struggle, only silence and betrayal. This is the story of a murder so personal, so calculated that it haunts the very idea of trust. Vishala and her husband Ramakrishnan had built a comfortable life in Dubai. He ran a successful business while she embraced her role as a wife and mother. Their daughter, just a year old, brought joy to their lives. In early July, Vishala traveled back to India with their daughter, staying with her parents in Udupi. She told them she had some errands to run and wanted to check on their apartment. It was supposed to be just another quiet day, but she never returned. Her parents grew concerned as the hours passed. Her phone was off. Panic set in. They rushed to her apartment, finding the door slightly ajar. What lay inside would burn into their memories forever. The furniture was in disarray, jewelry missing, and Vishala, once full of life, lay lifeless on the floor. A charger wire lay nearby. It was too deliberate, too clean. The police were immediately called. The Brahmavar police station launched an intense investigation. No signs of robbery, no forced entry. The wire used in the crime belonged to Vishala. It was clear she knew her killer. This wasn't random. It wasn't impulsive. It was planned. 4 special teams were formed. CCTV footage from 60 nearby locations was reviewed, but the apartment building itself had no cameras. The city's peace was shattered. A murder in what they called the mini Goa of South India was unheard of. The pressure was immense. As the investigation deepened, Vishala's grieving husband returned from Dubai. At the funeral, he appeared heartbroken. In his statements to police, he spoke about his love for Vishala, how he was mesmerized by her eyes, her graceful presence, her pursuit of excellence in everything. It was a love story, he said. But behind the story was a fracture only a few could see. The police, while empathizing with his grief, noticed something odd. Why did a man who built his life in Dubai buy such a luxurious apartment in Udupi and leave his wife and child there? Why did Vishala prefer staying in India? Why wasn't she satisfied in Dubai? Questions kept surfacing. Something wasn't adding up. Then came the moment that turned the case. E.G. Praveen Sood was reviewing photographs from the crime scene when he noticed something chilling. 2 teacups on the table, placed neatly as if shared between friends. Not a sign of a break-in, but of a guest. Someone Vishala welcomed. That changed everything. This wasn't just murder, this was betrayal by someone she trusted. Digging into her call records, the police found a key detail. Vishala had received a call from her husband on the day of the murder. The puzzle pieces started clicking. They confronted Ramakrishnan, who initially played the grieving husband role to perfection. But when asked about the call, he faltered. "How do you know?" he whispered, pale. When told that Vishala had recorded the call, his silence screamed the truth. Cracks in the story widened. Ramakrishnan finally confessed, but not all at once. It took pressure, psychological tactics, and the looming knowledge that the evidence was piling up against him. Eventually, the dam broke. He had hired a hitman to kill his wife. The killer was no stranger. Swaminath Nishad, a former employee in Dubai, was someone Ramakrishnan trusted. He had approached Swaminath with a deadly offer, rupees 5 lakh to kill his wife in India. Swaminath, whose contract in Dubai was about to end, accepted. He returned to India, prepared for murder. And Vishala? She had no idea that the man who once smiled at her as a friend would return as her executioner. Why would a man murder the woman he once loved? Was it suspicion, jealousy, or something far more sinister? As the police dug deeper into Ramakrishnananda's past, they began to uncover a tangled web of motives. The cracks in their perfect marriage had started forming long before the murder. The trouble began shortly after the birth of their daughter. Vishala wanted to return to India to raise their child closer to her family and roots. But Ramakrishnan, successful and comfortable in Dubai, saw no reason to leave his flourishing business behind. This difference slowly poisoned their bond. Ramakrishnan believed Vishala was hiding something, that she was involved with someone else in India. He claimed that she spent long hours on the phone, often moving away to talk in private. Friends had hinted the same. Every unanswered question turned into a festering doubt. Each denial from Vishala only made him more determined to find the truth. But instead of confronting her honestly, he made a chilling decision. If he couldn't have her, no one could. In March 2021, they visited India together as a family. During this time, Ramakrishnan finalized the purchase of a luxurious apartment for her in Udupi, supposedly as a sign of support for her desire to stay in India. In reality, it was part of a cold, calculated plan. That apartment would soon become a trap. Back in Dubai, Ramakrishnan began looking for someone who could carry out the unthinkable. He approached Swaminath Nishad, a man who had worked for him and earned his trust. Swaminath was set to return to India soon. The offer? 5 லட்சம் ரூபாய் ஒரு சுத்தமான கொலையை பெறுகிறேன். The plan? Use trust as the weapon. Ramakrishnan introduced Swaminath to Vishala before leaving for Dubai again. He told her Swaminath was a friend who could help in emergencies. Vishala, kind-hearted and polite, welcomed the man into her home. She had no idea she was looking into the eyes of her future killer. On the morning of July 12, 2021, Vishala left her parents' home, telling them she needed to visit the bank and check on her apartment. That was the last time they saw her alive. Sometime that afternoon, Ramakrishnan called her. He said Swaminath would drop by with a gift. Vishala, unaware of the trap, returned home and opened the door. Inside the apartment, tea was served, 2 cups. A normal gesture, but what followed was anything but normal. Swaminath, accompanied by another man, waited until Vishala was at ease. Then when she turned to see them off, they struck. A mobile charger wire was yanked from the wall. It took seconds. Vishala struggled, but it was over quickly. She collapsed, and just like that, a vibrant life was extinguished. The killers staged the scene to look like a robbery gone wrong. Jewelry was taken, furniture tossed. But there was no panic, no mess that real thieves usually leave behind. It was too tidy, too rehearsed. That's what made the police suspicious. Real crimes are messy. This one was neat, purposeful. After Vishala's body was found, the police traced every lead. They discovered the phone call from Ramakrishnan. They found inconsistencies in his story. They followed the trail to Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh, where Swaminath had returned. It took time, but eventually, with the help of local police, Swaminath and his accomplices were arrested. Shockingly, this wasn't the end. Another man, Dharmendra Kumar Suhani, was caught months later at Lucknow airport. He was the fourth and final piece of the deadly puzzle. Together, this group had pulled off a murder that shook a family and stunned a nation. Meanwhile, Vishala's family revealed another side of the story. They claimed Ramakrishnan was having an affair, that he wanted to start a new life with another woman. Vishala had found out and opposed it. They believed the motive wasn't just jealousy, it was convenience. A clean slate, a fresh love story, one that demanded Vishala's removal. The case went to trial. Evidence was overwhelming. Call logs, the recorded conversation, the charger wire, 2 teacups. The courtroom was packed. Journalists, neighbors, and the shattered family of Vishala sat with bated breath. Bhavya hated Vishala, seeing her as the one obstacle between her and Ramakrishnan. Amruth, a friend of Ramakrishnan, had financial debts. Ramakrishnan promised him money, Vishala's jewelry and cash, for helping silence her. And Chetan? He drove them, unaware at first of the murder plot, but once he saw what happened, he didn't report it. That silence made him complicit. In court, Vishala's mother took the stand. Her voice shook, but her words pierced the silence. She called me that morning. She said she was scared. I told her to come back home, but she never made it. The courtroom cried with her. The defense tried to argue that it was a sudden emotional outburst, not pre-planned. But the prosecution had messages, timelines, and physical evidence. Ramakrishnan, once the perfect husband, was now exposed as a cold manipulator. In May 2023, the verdict came. All 4, Ramakrishnan, Bhavya, Amruth, and Chetan, were convicted. The judge called it a crime of betrayal, greed, and monstrous cruelty. Life sentences were handed out, but justice couldn't undo what had been done. Vishala was gone. A young woman who believed in love, who trusted, who hoped. In the aftermath, Vishala's story sparked national outrage and conversations about domestic abuse, emotional manipulation, and the silent suffering of women in seemingly normal marriages. And deeper still, how many more Vishalas are out there right now, smiling on the outside, silently drowning within? What would you do if the person sharing your bed was silently plotting your end? Let us know in the comments. Your voice might help someone see the truth in time.